Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hi, this is Krishnan. Today I'll be doing the Hindu news analysis discussion. So these are the 5 topics that we'll be discussing today. Let us go to the topic directly. So the first topic is about earlier, if your income was rupees 5 lakhs, you had to pay tax. Now they have increased it to 7 lakhs, and there are a lot of pros and cons associated with it. So this editorial talks about what the government should do if the youngsters are opting for the new tax regime. So we'll see this news. So why is it in news? Because government has reduced income tax rates. How much? From 5 lakh, it has gone to 7 lakh. So earlier, if you were earning 5 lakhs, you had to pay tax. Now, if you're earning 7 lakhs only, you'll have to pay tax. So there are other tax exemptions also. So if you give these taxes exemptions, your tax rates will come much more lower. There is a small problem here because earlier, if you use this tax exemptions, what you can do, it was used on social security. If you give up all those tax exemptions, your tax rates will come down. But earlier, what you were doing, using those tax exemptions, you were using it on social security. But now if you move to the new regime, these social security schemes will be gone. So this is the problem. So, and what they are telling this, the new tax regime, it may hit saving rate and investments. So these are the problem. But government says earlier low income earners, they did not have much money to spend on social security schemes. So they ended up paying higher tax rates. So they are right only. This also happened. But there is the other face to the coin also. Earlier low tax bracket, but tax exemptions were there, and through that social security things were looked into. But now the new regime, tax exemption, if you give up the tax exemption, lower tax rate, but what will happen? You will not invest in social security schemes. So this is the problem with the new tax regime. So what we are going to the next level with the money. What we are going to pay tax. We are going to see what are the exemptions we are going to have, and through those exemptions, how we can safeguard our life. So those things we'll see, right? But what is the problem in India? In India, low levels of financial literacy. So taxpayers cannot decide if they want to save or consume, or where they should invest, how they should invest. Those things they'll not know, right? Because financial literacy is very low in India. Even in schools, colleges, you're not taught all these things. So people will not do what to do. So what they'll do, they'll not know how to invest in stocks that will beat inflationary trends, or in stocks that will help you in the future. So people will not know because financial literacy is very low. So this is what I've mentioned here, because taxpayers cannot decide if they want to save or consume based on current economic trends. So what this editorial arguing is, humans are not rational as you think. So this is the basic premise of economics, right? Economists tend to think that every human activity is rational, but no. Why? Because let's say there are a lot of youths who are getting a lot of salaries these days, right? So because of the 7 lakh tax regime, what will happen? A lot of youngsters will pay very little to no tax, right? So with that money, you cannot necessarily say they'll invest or they'll save. What they'll do, they might indulge in conspicuous consumption. What is conspicuous? Conspicuous is for others to see. So you'll consume in such a way that you will do conspicuous consumption. For example, there might not be any need for you to get an Apple iPhone, but you might have one. So, and things like that. So on one hand, youth will not have enough financial literacy. They might not take rational decisions on investing. But on the other hand, what you are having, poor financial products are sold. So poor financial products means a lot of people will scam you into buying financial products that will not give you proper returns in the future. So that problem is also there. But what this old tax regime did, it gave you a base for coping with life uncertainties. So for example, if you invest in house loans, if you take house loans, or if you invest in land and things like that, you had tax exemptions, right? This new tax regime is taking it away. So at least the whole tax regime, it gave you a base for coping with life's uncertainties, but this new tax regime has taken that also away. So that is why I mentioned here, help people build critical assets. So old tax regime help people build critical assets. that is houses, but this new tax regime does not have that also. So on the other hand, what we are seeing, there is increase in buying stocks. So youngsters are buying stock, people are buying stock, retail participation in stocks, they are increasing. But there is always this fear, right? Because stock market is not stable, it might is prone to ups and lows. On the other hand, people can be scammed also by operators. So this is also there. So what the editorial is arguing is government should give greater financial literacy so that people will know where to invest, how to invest, which stock they should go for, which they should avoid, things like that they'll know. So that is one thing. And what they should do, they should arrest. There should be crackdown on people doing unethical selling. So in that way you can save taxpayers and people who invest in stocks. So finally the editor is telling, you don't always think people are fiscally prudent. If people are fiscally prudent, why would the government think that it is mandatory for people to invest in pensions and provident fund? If people are fiscally prudent, automatically they will invest in pensions and provident fund, right? But why the government is making mandatory for people to contribute there? Because the government knows only if we nudge them to do all these mandatory things, they will do it. So like that, the editorial is arguing the government should not be lax. It should give financial literacy. It should arrest unethical operators, and it should make sure that people do not invest in stocks that are not productive. So these are the things that the government should look into. So this is what the editorial is arguing. So old tax regime to new tax regime, what are the pros and cons, and what the government should do. This is what this news article, this editorial argues for. So with this, we'll go to the next article. Let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about how there are a lot of discrepancies in the latest AISHE report, AISHE report. So first, before moving into this article and seeing what are the discrepancies, what are the issues, first let us see what AISHE report is. So this is very important question, they might ask you in prelims. So it gives you a indicator on the current status of higher education in the country. Okay, so that is very important. It gives you a status of higher education in the country. It is released annually by the Department of Higher Education, which means it comes from Ministry of Education. And this is also very important, web-based. This is web-based, okay. Every year they are doing Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education, web-based. And what you will know, data is collected on several parameters. You will get to know what and all you will get to know. You will get to know the institution density, gross enrollment ratio, people teacher ratio, gender parity index, per student expenditure, everything you can get from this AISHE report. So this is what you should know. Ministry of Education every year, web-based, and through this you will get to know gross enrollment ratio and things like that. So Ministry of Education is doing it. So why is it in news? Because recently the AISHE report and it was compared with the Census of India by who? Technical Group on Population Projection. So they compared both the data and they came up with a lot of discrepancies. And why did they do this comparison? Because earlier AISHE, what they did did gross enrollment ratio. They came up with figures for gross enrollment ratio using the 2001 census, but now they changed to 2011 census and they revisited and they changed a lot of data of AISHE report, because earlier they were using 2001 census, right? But now they have changed to 2011 census. Because of that, the report changed a lot of its data because they shifted the base year. And what they did, this technical group on population projected, it compared and contrasted these two datas, and there were a lot of variations and a lot of mistakes in it. So we'll see what are the mistakes they did. But before we go there, we'll see what is gross enrollment ratio. So gross enrollment ratio, it basically deals with higher education, so that you should not forget. So total enrollment in higher education by projected population in the 18 to 23 age group. In the total population, how many people are finishing school and going to college? This is only gross enrollment ratio. So let's say in Tamil Nadu, the gross enrollment ratio is 50%. So what does this mean? Out of every, let's say there are 2 students, and out of these 2 students, one student is going to college. So this is a great achievement, right? So 2 people are graduating from finishing school, and out of these 2 students, one person is definitely going to college. So this is how you should study this data. So 50% cross enrollment ratio means out of every 2 student finishing school, one person is going to college. So this is what gross enrollment ratio is. So let us see what mistakes they are doing. Have a look at this chart. So this chart shows what are the deviations that happened between the Aisha report and Census of India report. So you can see, right, first 4A there are sharp deviations. They do not just come close, there are sharp deviations. So you can see that, right? So in CA report there's a gradual decline between 2016 and 2020 with respect to population figures, but in Aisha you see there is increase for the first 4 years and a sharp drop in 2020. So this is a bit weird, right? Because here you see there's decline, here you see there's increase in the first 4 years and suddenly there's a decline. So they're telling these are all mistakes or deviations that are in the report. Now let us see another chart which talks about Tamil Nadu's gross enrollment ratio in the higher education. So first thing is gross enrollment ratio using the 2011 census, and we are comparing it with state. The state also came up with gross enrollment ratio which was based on Aisha 2019 report based on 2001 census. So what we are having here is 2019-20. Here we are having gross enrollment ratio according to Aisha 2021. So you see there are a lot of changes. So what happened, seeing the new report, gross enrollment ratio was downgraded for Tamil Nadu. So why this is an issue? Because Tamil Nadu crossed 50% according to Aish report earlier, but because of downgrading it has come down to 49%. So we are not sure if if the data is wrong, we will not be sure, right? We will not know what to do. So they are talking about those problems. So what they're telling, even if we change the population projections given in Aish 2021, we are not, the numbers are not matching. So they're saying there are mistakes everywhere. Even if you use census 2001, even if you use census 2011, we are getting mistakes. Even if there are small variations, it's fine. The variations are huge. So that is what they are trying to tell. So you have a look at this chart also. Here you see the data they have given. So these data you are getting from Aisha report itself. But if you calculate, you are getting 47.5. But what report is telling, it is 49. So there is variation. Here it is telling 46.6. Here it is telling 47. So there is variation. So these are the problem. So we are taking Tamil Nadu only as a sample because there are deviations for a lot of other states also. So what we are telling, the calculated figures that is we are doing the calculated figure, they do not match with the one stated in the report. So that is the problem. So if you calculate these two, you will get this, right? But they are giving this, so they are not matching. So these are the problem. And in Himachal there was this case. So what happened, 18 to 23 age group, the gross enrollment ratio went up by 6%. But even after it went 6%, there is no change in the gross enrollment ratio. So how will this happen? We don't know. So 6% gross enrollment ratio for higher education has gone up, but the state's gross enrollment ratio has remained the same. So they're telling there are a lot of flaws in this report. So let us see this chart also, chart 4A and chart 5B. So after the change, Aisha figure and Census of India, what is the magnitude of difference? It is more than 8 lakhs. Why we are telling this is a problem is both are getting their data from Census of India only, no? If both are getting their details from Census of India, why this much difference? Same thing. So in chart B, 2.3 percentage points was observed between the calculated GER and GER stated in the Aisha report for Himachal Pradesh. So here 8 lakhs. For Uttar Pradesh it was 8 lakhs, but for Himachal Pradesh it was 2.3 percentage points between the calculated GER and the GER stated in the related Aisha report. So there are flaws everywhere, there are mistakes everywhere. This is what this article is trying to pinpoint. So this is what it is. So I'll just give you a recap. So Aisha report, first you should know what Aisha report, we have discussed this year, and 2001 census to 2011 census they have changed. Because of that there are numerous changes in the report, but if you analyze the report you are coming across a lot of discrepancies, there are a lot of changes and deviations. So this is what this article is. Let us move on to the next article. This topic is very very important because it talks about how India can change from a coal based economy to a non coal based economy, and how it can get funds for this transition using its G20 presidency. So we'll see this article. So why is it in news? Because the authors feel India's G20 presidency is a good opportunity to negotiate a deal for India and also shape international cooperation on just energy cooperation. So why we are using the word just here means justice, because more often than not we find that developed countries force their economic injustice environmental ideas on developing countries. So there are a lot of environmental politics over there. So the authors are telling in what way we can use this G20 presidency and come with a energy transition system that is based on justice. So before we go on to the article, we'll see what is JETP. So JETP means just for justice. So just energy transition partnership. So this is emerging as the key mechanism for multilateral financing by developed countries to support energy transition in developed countries. So what will be its role? Energy transition in developing countries. For that, for green technologies, you need money, expertise, experience, and all those things, right? So developed countries will support developing countries in this transition. So that is why we have set up something called as JETP. So this is gaining a lot of currencies these days, because what happened in Glasgow Pact, face down, note down this term, face down was used in Glasgow Pact. So don't forget this. It means, what does it mean? It means to cut down on coal usage. So what we should do is, coal only is causing a lot of environmental issues, so we should cut down that, right? So in Glasgow Pact they came up with something called face down. So already countries like South Africa, Indonesia, Vietnam, they are using it. So next it will be India only to be a part of this JET partner. So what is it about basically? It is basically about cutting down coal usage. Why we use coal? For electricity generation only. But there are issues with transition, right? For a country like India, developing countries, they have a lot of problems. So what are the problems? Could give rise to intergenerational, and spatial equity concerns. So intragenerational means within, like father and son, that is intergenerational. Intragenerational means within one's generation, and equity, because if coal is gone, we need, if we want to use solar, wind power, we need space to set them up, right? So spatial problems are there. So what is this intragenerational and intergenerational? We'll see. So we are telling it is intragenerational and intergeneration problem because there are a lot of jobs dependent on fossil fuels, right? Like coal miners and like people working in lignite factories. There are a lot of jobs dependent on it, right? So what will happen? They will lose jobs. If they lose jobs, what will happen? Their children will suffer and things like that. So that is why we are telling intragenerational and intergeneration problems. So that is one issue, and it disrupts future energy access. Suddenly you are telling I should not use coal. What will happen? Energy access will be a huge issue. Next, if coal is not there, what will happen? It will shrink states' capacity to spend on welfare program. Okay, so what is the next thing? It will increase the economic inequalities between coal and other regions, because coal regions, they'll be dependent on coal only, for their economy. But suddenly if you stop using coal, what will happen to that state? There will be a lot of poverty, hunger and things like that. So these are the problems that will come if you are transitioning from a coal based to non coal based energy. So what are the issues with JETP that developed countries, what they are not looking into? They're paying no attention to intragenerational inequality, such as job losses. So people will lose jobs, right? If this transition is happening, they are not looking into it. So we are telling they lack just component. What is just component? That is the justice part of it. So what do we want? What is the justice component? That is there are a lot of people already will be dependent on coal, right? So we should reskill them. So for reskilling them we need funds. So this JETP should allocate funds for that and alternate employment opportunities for people involved in coal based work. So these are the justice part of it, but this JETP is not paying attention to all these things. So these are the issues with transition and JETP. So next we saw, right, next India is going to be a part of this JETP. So it is still in negotiation stage because this JETP and India, we are not able to come to a middle ground. So why? Because this developed countries, they are not paying attention to country context. So for transitioning from a coal to a green energy, developed countries will have certain types of problems and developing countries will have certain types of problems, right? But developed countries are not looking into it. They are forcing their idea on developing countries. So this is the next point. They are not paying any attention to transition between industrialized and emerging economies. So in Western countries, what you should do, they are just focusing on two things: reduce energy consumption. So in Western countries, energy consumption is very high. So first, what they are telling, reduce it, and then we can easily switch to greener resources. But what our plan is in India, what we are doing, by 2030 only, we are planning to double India's energy demand. So now only we are going to double the energy demand, then only we can reduce it, then only transition can happen. But in Western countries it is different, right? So if you are going to double our energy demand, we need energy from diverse sources. We need energy from coal also. So we cannot tell suddenly we'll cut down everything. So that is one thing. So we cannot afford to keep on developing while decarbonizing. So India, we have economic development, economic growth, we have targets, right? But if you decarbonize, we cannot meet those targets. So that is why Indian JETP is still in negotiation stage. So we are planning to increase energy demand 2 times by 2030, double the energy demand. And the next thing is we have this thing also. So we have other commitments also, right, with regard to green energy. So what is India's commitment? 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel. In that, 450 gigawatt will come from renewable energy. And of the 43% renewable energy purchase obligation. So what is renewable energy purchase obligation means? When we are buying electricity, out of that 43% should be from renewable energy only. Rest 57% you can buy it from fossil fuels like coal and things like that, but 43% should come from renewable energy only. So these are India's commitment. And what it is doing to achieve these things, India has come up with Energy Conservation Amendment Act, National Green Hydrogen Mission, production link incentives, and soon they are going to come up with National Carbon Market where you can sell your carbon and things like that. So the India is doing these things, but more needs to be done. So this is not enough. So authors are telling we need to do more. So the authors themselves are giving 3 ways where India can decarbonize, at the same time use carbon, at the same time decarbonize and use other renewable energy also. So let us see what those 3 measures are. So first, what they are telling, acceleration in renewable energy deployment rate. So you speeden up how you use renewable energy. This is what they are telling. So right now non-fossil capacity addition is 16 gigawatt. That they are telling you bring it to 75 gigawatt. And they are giving how to do this. So first you are telling in agriculture renewable energy is not being used. So solarization of agriculture. Next they are telling electrification of diesel powered MSMEs. In MSMEs they are using diesel only. No, there you use renewable energy. First they are telling for agriculture use solar power. And in MSMEs they are just using diesel. There also you change to renewable energy. And decentralized renewable energy for residential cooking and heating. So what they are telling is most of the problem is because you are even if you want renewable energy, you want it through grid. That is, the central grid should be somewhere and it should come to your own. They are telling you don't wait for the centralized grid. You decentralize it. For example, in our house we have water heater. It is water heater is working based on decentralized renewable energy heating system only, solar system only, so like that you decentralize both cooking and heating in homes. Don't wait for the central energy grid. like that. This is the first thing. Second, what they are telling, you domestically manufacture clean energy components, because if you buy from other countries it will not work. Even if you manufacture this clean energy components, it is 20% expensive than Chinese components. So what will happen? Renewable energy makers, they'll be at loss only, so the authors are telling, using jet partnership, you create access for these people outside India so that they can develop more components, and through economies of scale they can bring down the components rate. So this is what they're telling. So the first is increase renewable energy deployment rate. Second is you domestically manufacture clean energy components, and they are telling get foreign market access also through jet partnership. So third and the most important thing, how to use coal, that they are telling. What they are telling, optimize use of coal fired plants closer to where they are telling. If you are using coal, use the coal energy in places where you mine the coal itself, because coal you are transporting and then you are taking to some other place. They are telling in some other place you use renewable energy. This coal you use where coal is mined itself, because transportation also is increasing the coal rate. So they are telling use coal where you are mining itself. Next, what they are telling, if you optimize, rate will reduce. And transportation also, if you're not doing much transportation, your cost cutting and all will happen. So they're telling with this you will save money. No, with that money you use emission control. So for emission control you need a lot of new products and technology like that. So they're telling whatever money you're saving, you invest in emission control retrofits. So that they are telling. And what they're telling, if you optimize coal fired power plants, it will indirectly reduce emissions also. That also they are telling. And next thing what they are telling, already what is happening, low capacity utilization in Indian coal sector. So 100% is there, means coal energy efficiency in power plants it is only 58%. So there are a lot of scope to improve, right? So they are telling you don't there's no need for you to have coal based power plants. There's no need for you to import more coal. What if there is any future energy problems, if you improve the capacity utilization from 58, even if it goes to 80 85, we'll not have any energy issues. So they're telling, so these are the areas he's telling with which we can improve when it comes to coal. So finally what the authors are telling, if you do all these things, what will happen? In green energy sector you can create new opportunities, new job opportunities. Emission reduction also you can do, and decarbonized economy also will be there. So if you reduce carbon usage, global warming and environmental issues will come down. So how to reduce carbon usage? You reduce coal usage. So finally what we are telling, developing countries alone cannot do this. We need assistance from developed countries through JETP. So developed countries need to take stock of this, the context in which developed countries are operating, and help them. So this is what this article is. So what are the problems we are having in transition, and how we can so in what we are trying to say here is, India cannot completely do away with carbon right now, coal right now. So if you use these strategies, you can reduce coal usage. So this is what we are trying to say. And on the other hand, you try to bring in more renewable energy, non-fossil fuel based energy. So if you do this, we can whatever our target is with respect to green energy, we can achieve it. So this is what the authors are trying to tell. So this is what this article is about. Let us now move on to the next article. Let us move on to the next article. This article is about how Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has written to the Prime Minister of India to relax procurement norms. So there's a lot of terms and data associated with it. We'll see this in the article. So first we'll see why it is. First we saw why was it in the news, because Tamil Nadu CM he has asked for relaxation of norms in procurement due to unseasonal rainfall. So what are these norms? We'll see. So before we see all this, we'll see how the procurement is done in the first place. So what is the procurement program? Government procures food grains, and they'll tell something called as minimum support price. So to do this procurement, they'll give minimum support price. I mean, this is the minimum money with which the government is definitely guaranteeing the farmer that they will buy the food grain. And in PDS, what will happen? That is in the ration shops, stocks are this procure whatever food grain that was procured, it is given to poor people. So what is the mechanism? Food Corporation of India and the state agencies, they procure food grains and they give it to people who cannot afford to buy food grains in the market. So what are the different variants with which the food is procured? First one is centralized procurement system. So in that procurement by Food Corporation of India and state agencies, what will happen? Stocks will go to the central pool. Will the procurement cost will be given back by the Food Corporation of India. This is centralized system. What is decentralized? State government agencies directly they will procure, store, distribute the food grains. This will directly go to the PDS and other schemes. And if there are remaining stocks, they will go to the central pool. So this is the difference between centralized procurement and decentralized procurement. So what will happen? Farmer is there. Central government through FCI will get it at minimum support price, and they will give it to the state government at central issue price. Will be some amount will be more. So central issue price, and state government will give it to fair price shop. And what will happen from there? Beneficiaries will get grains. So this is what happens in the ration shop. So this is the framework of it. We'll see what is MSP. So you know what is MSP, right? So central will first fix MSP for Kharif and Rabi cropping season based on Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. So they will travel across the country and tell what should be the MSP. So how they will calculate it? When a farmer grows a crop, he'll incur a lot of costs, right? Some are explicit, some are shown, some are implicit. Implicit means land rent, tool rent, they are implicit, that is they cannot be seen directly. So the CSEP, they are using this formula to come up with. So what is A2? Covers all cash and in-kind expenses incurred by the farmers. What are the seeds, fertilizers, chemicals, hired labor, fuel, etc. A2 plus FL means A2 plus unpaid family labor. And C2, what is C2? It includes A2 plus FL plus revenues foregone on rent and interest. So C2 means revenue foregone on rent and interest. So A2 plus FL, C2. They'll take all these things into consideration and they'll come up with MSP. And when they tell the MSP, central government will buy from the farmer with that MSP. So how it is done? The government will announce MSP before sowing season. Sowing season before sowing season. So in prelims they might ask if it is before sowing season or after sowing season. Next, what will happen? The CSEAP will recommend the MSP and Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs will approve it. So soon after the harvest, government will announce. So the MSP will equal or greater than the announced MSP price. So before sowing and after harvest. So we'll go on to this article. What is Tamil Nadu CM's request? Request is in Tamil Nadu unseasonal rainfalls, and the rainfall was huge. Paddy, that is the rice field and all, it became full of water, and because of that, moisture content in rice. To procure paddy with moisture content, the moisture content in the rice went up. What happened? So if the moisture content is high, the central agencies will not buy it, right? So the chief minister is telling you relax certain norms. That is, moisture content you bring it to 20%. Usually it is 15%, but even if it is 22%, you buy it. And they are telling you minimize the limit for immature, shrunken and shriveled crop. Usually it is 3%, till 3% they'll accept. Now he's telling you bring it to 5%. And damaged and discolored and sprouted, earlier it used to be 5%, he's telling you bring it to 7%. Then only what will happen? Farmers can sell it, or else they'll incur a lot of losses. So this is the relaxation norm that he's asking for. So this is all. So this is what it is about. So these are the relaxations he's asking for. And what he's telling earlier also, this is the Samba season. Samba means like Rabi and Kharif. There is something called as Samba Kuruvai, that is in Tamil for the harvesting season. So in Samba season that is happening, you can do this again, because in Kurve season also you did this one. So like that you do it, like that he's telling. So this is what he's telling, and he's telling in the Kaveri Delta region we are there's a lot of water, but in spite of that we are doing a lot of things. For example, we have cultivated 4.19 lakh hectares during the Kurvai season, and during the Samba season we brought 6.43 lakhs hectares under crop cultivation. So these are the other things he's talking about, what he is done for the delta region. So this delta region also you should know, because we call it the delta region because which river forms delta here? Kaveri river. So this is very important. So Kaveri river forms delta here, and because of Kaveri only people here are able to do agriculture. So that is why this area is called delta region. So Samba and Kurve you should know, those are it's like Rabi and Kharif. So those are Tamil names. And what are the relaxation is asking for? Moisture content relaxation, shrunken or shriveled relaxation, damaged or discolored. For those things is asking for relaxation, so that farmers will be able to sell it to Food Corporation of India. This is what it is about. Let us move on to the next article. This article is about how the Assam government has decided to crack down on child marriage. So what has happened is they have arrested the husbands of all these underage women. So already they are all very poor people. So they have arrested these men and they are all behind bars. They are not able to secure their bail. And the thing is, what these wives are telling is they are not really underage, and the data that was entered in their Aadhaar card is wrong. So this other officials made a mistake by entering wrong age, but we are not underage like this. Few women are telling. So this is the crux of the issue, but we should look into the other aspects as also. So why is the crackdown recently? Because recently the government has come to know that because of this national family health survey, that maternal mortality rate, I hope you know what it is, that mothers dying after pregnancy and IMR, infant mortality rate, that is children dying after birth, is very very high in Assam. Why is this? This is because of child marriage only. So the Assam government has decided to take some action on it. So now they have arrested people who are doing this child marriage. So I guess you know about the Child Marriage Act. So minimum age of marriage for women is 18 years. So for a man it is 21. For women it is 18. And right now they are seeking an amendment to it, which proposes to raise the age to 21. So let's see what are the things that Supreme Court tells with respect to marriage. So Supreme Court tells marriage between adults is a fundamental right. So, but only between adults, right? But if women are not 18, it is illegal. So it is not a fundamental right if a woman is underage. So under the 2006 Act, a person married below minimum age, she can ask for annulment. What is you can call it annulled. They say it is annulled. What does marriage stands annulled means? Null and void. So let's say, what does this mean? Let's say you are getting married at 17. They are forcing you to get married. So if they find out, your marriage will stand null and void. So after you turn 18, that is after attaining majority, you are given 2 years time to have this marriage null and void. So you can sit and think whether you want to continue in this marriage. So, but if you don't want null and void, you can continue. So for that they are giving you 2 years. So in 2021 amendment, what they have done, they have increased it to 5 years. So recently what happened? Jaya Jaitly task force. So she was asked to examine how age of marriage and motherhood, that is IMR, MMR, reproductive rights, how they are all interlinked to health, medical well-being, nutritional status of mother and child. All these things she was asked to look into, and she recommended to increase the age of marriage to 21. So since 1978, it's been 18 years for women. So now she is asked to increase it to 21, and the government is looking into it. Amendments are going on with respect to this. So National Family Health Survey 5, what did we find out? Prevalence of underage marriage is very very high. because close to one-fourth women in the age 20 to 24 said they got married before they turned 18. In India, child marriage is still very high. This is very high, but what is happening is detection is very difficult, because in 2020 only 785 cases throughout India was detected. So that is not the case, right? Because a lot of from NFHS 5 we get to know that a lot of women are getting married underage, but only 785 cases have been recorded. So this shows that there has been only limited success in curbing child marriage. So the government should do more to curb child marriage, because this child marriage is directly related to infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, nutritional status of children, and in fact all this stunting, wasting, hunger problems, double burden of nutrition, malnutrition, everything. The problem starts with this only, with child marriage only. So the government is asked to look into all these things. But on the other hand, these men who are getting married, they are all from very poor families. So the men are arrested, and these women, they are having nobody to take care of. So care should be taken, so that the future of these women, they are also children, because they have not touched 18 yet. So their future also should be secure. So the government should take steps, so that on one end you are curbing child marriage, on the other end these kids who have got married before they have turned 18, they have mostly eloped from their families, and there is nobody to take care of them. So the state should take care for them also. So these are the 5 articles that I thought that was very important for discussion. So let us go on to the prelims and mains mock question practice. I discussed one article on All India Survey on Higher Education. So the first question is with regard to that. So Aisha, you consider the following statements. So who is releasing it? Ministry of Social Justice. As per the report, female enrollment in higher education has increased. According to the report, Maharashtra has higher number of university. Which of these is correct? They are asking which is correct. So the Aisha report, who is releasing it? It is not Ministry of Social Justice, it is Ministry of Education. And as per the report, female enrollment in higher education has increased. Yes, this has increased. According to the report, Maharashtra has the highest number of universities in India. No, it is Rajasthan. So Rajasthan has the highest number of universities in India. So the correct answer would be C, 2 only. So next question, I took this question because we talked about Delta, right? Because in Delta regions there was very high rain, and it has flooded all the paddy fields. So the Chief Minister had written to the Prime Minister to relax certain norms. So because of that, I took this question on Kaveri. So the Kaveri River, or Kaveri, sacred rivers of South India. Which of the following statement is true about it? It originates in Talakaveri in the Eastern Ghats mountain range. This is true. No, this is not true. This is false. It originates in Talakaveri. But where is this Talakaveri? It is not in Eastern Ghats. It's in Kur, which is in Western Ghats. So Jog Falls, located on the Shimoga and Uttara Kannada district border, is formed by it. No, this is wrong. Hemavati River is one of its tributaries. Yes, it is right. Kabini River is not one of its tributaries. It's wrong. Kabini also is one of its tributaries. So the answer is Hemavati. Option C. The question is, what are the issues that India faced while transitioning to renewable energy based economy? How can JETP help India achieve decarbonizing its economy? So why was this in news? Because first we saw G20 presidency. India should sit to negotiate and get a good deal. First we saw that, and we saw about what JETP is, that you can mention, and what is its role, and what are the countries that are a part of it. And third thing, we can talk about justice in transitioning. What are the justice aspect, like funding this coal workers and getting them an alternative livelihood. So these things that you can talk about. So first you'll talk about these things, and next we'll talk about what are the problems in transitioning. So we talked about 3 problems, right? So what is the first problem? First problem is intergenerational, intragenerational, spatial problems. Like if you transition to coal, what will happen? There will be job losses and things like that. Second, we'll talk about renewable energy. How to accelerate the renewable energy deployment, like decentralizing it, and from taking it to 75 gigawatts in the 450 gigawatt and things like that. Third, we talked about how to optimally use coal. So optimizing coal is also very important, right? So through that you can save a lot of coal in the coal power plant. So talk about these three things. So if you talk about three things, you can easily write 250 word answer. So this is what the discussion is for today. I hope you understood all the 5 articles that was discussed here. So thanks for tuning in. You can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Telegram and Facebook. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.